1957, a British studio, Hammer Films, recognized that any of the Universal horror films shot in black and white in the 30s and 40s could potentially be very popular if splashed with blood red color. They soon found out how popular with The Curse of Frankenstein, starring veteran British character actors Peter Cushing as Baron Frankenstein and Christopher Lee as the monster. The film was a huge box office hit. Hammer Films followed in 1958 with the highly successful The Horror of Dracula, again with Christopher Lee as the Count and Peter Cushing as Dr. Van Helsing, the vampire hunter. These films were very explicit in their violence and implied sexuality. They continued making Frankenstein, Dracula, the Werewolf, and other horror movies well into the 70s, making Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing the new horror masters.
Dr. Stein!
In the early 50s, during the atomic and flying saucer age, countless creatures from outer space, below ground, or beneath the sea and lagoon came out to conquer and terrify us. There were also giants like the 50-foot men and women and tiny people like puppets and shrinking men roaming the earth intent on making audiences scream and screech in terror. Some succeeded, while others were laughable, but all were pure drive-in theater fun.
Beautiful woman. She drove into a nightmare of horror.
You're a deputy. Do something.
Yes. I can't shoot a lady.
Give me the gun. Give me that gun.
Even the Japanese got into the act when Toho Cinema produced Godzilla, King of the Monsters, in 1955. Coming from beneath the ocean to destroy Tokyo, this film had the distinction of featuring American actor Raymond Burr, later to become TV's Perry Mason and Ironside. Godzilla spawned dozens of Japanese monsters to come. In 1960, Alfred Hitchcock, the great master of suspense, would revolutionize the horror film and create a new genre with Psycho, the first slasher film. With his expert editing and Bernard Herrmann's brilliant musical score, Hitchcock manipulated, stressed, and frightened his audience to the brink of a nervous breakdown. Psycho was one of the most talked about and critically acclaimed films of the 60s and stands as a testament to the genius of its creator.
House. The most dire, horrible events took place. I think we can go inside because the place is up for sale. You see, even in daylight, this place still looks a bit sinister. Murderer, you see, crept in here. Very slowly, of course, the shower was on, there was no sound. And,
Hitchcock would follow in 1963 with another terrifying thriller, The Birds. 1967, Roman Polanski, a brilliant young Polish filmmaker, came to the United States to make a shocking terror film based on the best-selling novel by Ira Levin. Rosemary's Baby was released in 1968 and succeeded expertly in audience manipulation a la the master himself, Alfred Hitchcock. In 1968, on a shoestring budget, George A. Romero made his first feature film, Night of the Living Dead, becoming the prototype of the modern horror movie.
This is the latest disclosure in a report from National Civil Defense Headquarters in Washington. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of reports from funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead are coming back to life and seeking human victims.
In 1973's The Exorcist, based on the best-selling novel by William Peter Blatty and directed by William Friedkin, this brutally shocking film pushed the envelope far beyond any other horror movie in history. So much so that some believe that the devil himself helped make this movie.
Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world. The world of darkness.
In 1978, John Carpenter came out with a low-budget, expertly made and frightening chiller called Halloween, about a psychotic murderer going on a killing spree on Halloween night. This teen slasher movie led the way for more to come. Thus followed a slew of mindless, gory teen horror thrillers, beginning with 1980's Friday the 13th, with its endless array of sequels, followed by Wes Craven's 1984 hit Nightmare on Elm Street, starring Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, the first new horror star since Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. With the new advances in technological special effects, the horror movies will continue to flourish and remain a main staple of Hollywood filmmakers. But there is no special effect or technological advance that could recreate those wonderful human monsters, hideous and evil creatures that were created by the likes of Lon Chaney, Bela Lugosi,
Gay and happy again. You paint a charming picture, monsieur. One that I should like to see myself. Bring her back. Aren't you a trifle afraid, monsieur?
Boris Karloff,
Afraid of me? I'm afraid for you. If this should leave me, then you'll have reason to fear. For when the full moon strikes the door of my tomb, I will back. You hear? I will come back to kill. Bandage my hand.
and Vincent Price.
crime you two planned was indeed perfect. Only the victim is alive and the murderers are not. It's a pity you didn't know when you started your game of murder that I was playing too.
These were the best of the horror films, the trendsetters, the ones from which all others have evolved.
Done that, my dear.
Well, why don't you laugh?
During every suspenseful moment of the running of the motion picture macabre, the life of everyone in this theater will be insured by Lloyd's of London for $1,000 against death.
I am Count Dracula. You see before you a man who has lived for centuries, kept alive by the blood of innocent.
Survived in the dinosaur age of mighty monsters.
Alive! Let me go!
Go now. Go and destroy those who desecrated the tomb of our princess. He who robs the graves of Egypt dies.
That thing have gotten aboard. Why? Just to kill us? What is the usual reason an intelligent creature kills?
It's hungry? What makes you so certain it's intelligent, Colonel? Not just an animal.
And open the door to see compartment?